Fire is, well, one of the oldest enemies of humanity. Cities rise and fall by it. And while today we boast flame-retardant materials and high-tech sprinklers, there's a fireproofing trick from 17th century Japan that could still school our modern tech. And it wasn't expensive, complicated, or dependent on electricity. In fact, it was the kind of street-smart survival ingenuity that history's survival code lives for. Now, this isn't just old-timey trivia, folks. This is survival mastery that burned through centuries. During the Edo period, Tokyo, then called Edo, was a tinderbox. Buildings were packed close, made almost entirely of wood, paper, and thatched roofs. One spark, one careless lantern, and, well, an entire neighborhood could vanish overnight. Fires were catastrophic, and Edo suffered them regularly. But rather than just rebuild the city with thicker walls or stone foundations, the Japanese turned a critical weakness into a genius defense, fireproofing at a structural and chemical level. This wasn't about sprinklers or metal reinforcements. They weren't chasing modern standards. They were inventing a survival hack that literally beat the fire itself. And centuries later, modern scientists and engineers studying historical Japanese architecture still scratch their heads. How did wooden towns survive repeated infernos without turning entirely into ash? The secret lies in the Edo period fireproofing method that used materials available to anyone, applied with skill, and backed by centuries of trial and error. The genius was simple but revolutionary. Builders treated wood with a mixture that might seem like a DIY hack today, but back then it was cutting-edge survival tech. They used natural minerals, primarily a type of clay mixed with sand and water, to create a paste that could be painted or smeared onto wooden beams and walls. This coating acted like a shield, slowing down the spread of flames, reducing heat absorption, and preventing the wood from catching fire instantly. In some regions, folks added seaweed extracts or rice paste to the mixture, giving the coating a flexible, slightly sticky quality that, well, just clung perfectly to the timber. The rice paste wasn't just a filler. It actually absorbed moisture and expanded a bit under heat, forming a barrier that could, quite literally, suffocate flames on contact. So, essentially, it was an ancient chemical fire retardant, crafted from what was locally abundant, cheap, and environmentally friendly. No electricity and none of those chemicals you can't even pronounce. Just smart, resourceful survival engineering. Now, how did Edo architects turn danger into design? Well, Edo's fireproofing hack wasn't limited to just coating walls. Builders actually rethought the way towns were laid out. Streets were widened strategically to act as fire breaks. Roofs were layered with tiles instead of thatch, sometimes treated with the same fireproof paste. Even the smallest details mattered. Sliding paper doors were designed to be removed quickly in case of fire, windows could vent smoke, and chimneys were reinforced to prevent sparks from landing on those wooden eaves. But this wasn't just about prevention. It was about survival in motion. Each building became a mini fortress, and each street a tactical line against disaster. The Edo period really mastered urban fire defense without needing a fire department rushing in with hoses. It was foresight, science, and craftsmanship, all wrapped into a city-scale survival strategy. In modern terms, it's like building a city with natural bulletproofing for fire. Fast forward to today, and well, the lessons are striking. Modern flame-retardant coatings, they rely heavily on chemicals that degrade, require maintenance, or sometimes just fail spectacularly when exposed to extreme heat. Sprinklers depend on water pressure, pumps, and electricity. But Edo's method didn't fail when systems went offline. It worked passively, quietly, and consistently, because it leveraged the intrinsic properties of materials combined with strategic human design. Fireproofing that lasts decades without touch-ups, that's a survival principle that World War II bunkers, military planning, and disaster preppers would kill to have. Even during World War II, When cities burned under air raids, the principles weren't forgotten. Military engineers studied ancient urban defenses for lessons in containment, materials, and tactical placement. A wooden structure coated correctly could survive a nearby explosion better than some modern constructs. And it wasn't magic, it was physics, chemistry, and centuries of empirical wisdom. You might be thinking, why should 17th century Japanese fireproofing matter in the 21st century? Because, honestly, survival isn't just about gadgets. It's about thinking ahead, using what's available, and understanding that old-school methods often survive where high-tech solutions fail. For anyone interested in prepping, architecture, or even just historical ingenuity, the Edo fireproofing hack is a masterclass in low-tech resilience. And here's the kicker. You can still apply these principles today. Natural mineral coatings, clay-based pastes, moisture-retentive barriers, they all work. They're cheap, sustainable, and honestly, shockingly effective. History didn't just record a method, it left a template for anyone serious about fire survival, whether in a city, rural cabin, or, even a DIY bunker. What makes this Edo hack so irresistible for a channel like History's Survival Code is its swagger. It's this mix of street smarts, chemistry, and, well, human genius rolled into a survival story that actually worked. It's not hypothetical. People lived, towns survived, and centuries later, engineers are still learning from it. That's the kind of timeless knowledge you want in your toolkit. Because when disaster strikes, knowing how humans survived long before fire alarms and sprinklers could really save your life. So, the next time you hear about the latest fireproofing miracle, just remember the Edo period. While modern tech dazzles with alarms, sprinklers, and all those fancy flame-retardant foams, this ancient hack quietly outperformed, endured, and kept entire cities from turning to ash. And, unlike some modern solutions, it didn't need batteries, updates, or a monthly inspection. It just worked, every time. History isn't just a record of the past. It's a survival manual, disguised as storytelling. And the Edo period fireproofing hack is proof that sometimes, old school really does win over new school. If you want more timeless survival hacks that actually work and lessons history forgot to tell you, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and keep your eyes open. Because honestly, the next secret from the past might just save your life.